Technovations. Technovations is an annual competition sponsored by a group of Silicon Valley companies. The goal of Technovations is to get girls into technology. This past year, there were about 7,200 participants from 57 countries around the world. Think private schools in places like Beijing, Singapore, California. You get the picture. A team of Liger girls took second place globally. In addition to winning $5,000 cash, they were flown, all expense paid, out to California, to San Francisco, for a week. Interviews, photo shoots, they toured the Google campus. But what makes this truly special is that just 3 years earlier, none of them spoke a word of English and had never touched a computer. Wait, what? Right? I know. How? How is this possible? You might also ask, why has the Liger Academy been featured on BBC, Good Morning America, CNBC, in Forbes twice, The Guardian, even the Sydney Morning Herald? That list goes on. You may also be asking, why are we bringing it here to New Zealand? Now, the answer to that is very simple, but first, I want to make two things clear. Number one, when we talk about the Liger Academy, we speak first and foremost about the students, our learners. They are the ones who are achieving these great things. They are the ones who deserve the credit. Now, we as the adults, what we have done is create an environment where those learners learn how to maximize their own potential. Number two, I love this video and these images. You've seen a lot of Cambodian faces. You've seen a lot of Cambodian kids. You'll see more. We ask you not to view them as Cambodian kids, okay? Even though they are, and proudly so. Rather, we ask you to view them as young people with the potential to change the world around them. This potential, we believe, is present in every community, in every country around the world. So, why here? Because we believe that our learners here will benefit every bit as much as learners elsewhere have from this environment. But to help you truly understand where we've been, where we are now, and where we're going, I need to take you back to where it all started. About a decade ago, my wife and I set out to reinvent international aid. Now, in the process, we realized that there is an urgent global need to reinvent education for the 21st century. Now, how were we in that situation? That takes us back to 2001. We were living and working in London, didn't like our jobs too much, and we decided we wanted to take a trip around the world, see it all. And so, on a shoestring, we set off on an adventure that would take the better part of 2 years. Now, most of those travels were in the developing world. And while there, we observed firsthand what we felt were some of the failings of international aid. And by that I mean, a lot of it seemed like short-term band-aids instead of long-term cures. And that started a dialogue, an ongoing dialogue. What would we do if it were up to us? What would we do if we had the means? So, I need to step aside for just a moment to share something that's very close to my heart. We had lots of great adventures, lots of wonderful experiences, but we truly fell in love with 2 countries. Now, one of those, obviously, was Cambodia. For those of you who have been, I don't need to explain why. For those of you who haven't been, just go. You won't regret it. Any guesses, guys, on what the other country was? Exactly, right here, right out that window. New Zealand, all around us. Now that we've lived here for several years, when people ask us, why New Zealand? I find it very easy to simply respond. We came for the scenery, and we stayed for the people. So back to our story. We finished our travels, got home, and found ourselves with this pesky need to earn money. And so we starting businesses, and that went pretty well. In fact, it went so well that after about 5 years, we realized, wait a moment, we actually have the means now to bring that vision to life. Let's do it. Okay, where do you start? Well, the obvious first question to answer was, where should we put the pilot project? Obviously, the answer was Cambodia. Why? Not only did we love the country, not only did we know that our efforts could have an impact there based on their needs, but we were simultaneously in the process of adopting our son Alex from Cambodia at the time. So it was a very natural fit. Alex, give him a wave.
Hey, Alex.
So we had a country chosen for the pilot project. Next step, we need a team. We can't do this by ourselves. So we assembled a team. Rolled up our sleeves. All right. How are we going to teach these kids everything they need to know? Very quickly, we realized that it is incredibly arrogant of us as adults to believe that we know everything you're going to need to know 10 or 20 years from now in a world that's changing so rapidly and in such unpredictable ways. That raised a question. Well, in that case, what is the purpose of education in the 21st century if ultimately we don't even know what we're supposed to be teaching them? That led to an epiphany. The epiphany was this. We needed to change the focus. We needed to change our objective, because we believe that the purpose of education today should be to teach a young person how to teach themselves what they need to know, when they need to know it. Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so wow, that's a completely different objective than what we started out with. How are we going to do that? At this point, I need to mention that we were very fortunate to be working in Cambodia in an environment where we had complete and total freedom and flexibility to design a program to achieve that objective in whatever way we felt fit. Now, being honest, with that freedom came a burden, a very heavy burden, because we also realized that we were about to take responsibility for the lives and well-being of over 100 young people. Believe me when I tell you, that's the sort of thing that keeps a guy awake at night. So, of course, this team had educators, and the educators have, over time, created an amazing curriculum and implemented it. But at the time, we felt like a good curriculum wouldn't be enough. What we, Agnieszka and I, we're not educators, but we are problem solvers. And what we believed is that we need to create an environment where these young people will not just get the hard skills, but also the soft skills to be able to solve problems, to be able to thrive and flourish in an uncertain future. And so our contribution was to help define the culture. The culture plays a very important role at the Liger Academy. Let me tell you about that culture. Okay, pay attention, guys, because this is really important, this part. So, first of all, we said collaborative. It has to be collaborative, because ultimately, in this world, you're not going to achieve anything great unless you can work well with others. Right. Okay, but at the same time, in today's world, it's more competitive than it ever has been. So it's got to be competitive as well. We have to teach these kids how to compete. But in a good way, in a healthy way, in a fun way. All right, so collaboration and competition are not normally known to be complementary, right? So how are we going to deliver this to achieve our objective? And the answer for us was very, very simple. And it comes down to how we behave to one another in the Liger Academy. Everything that we do is predicated upon kindness and consideration and respect for each other. Now, if people are treating each other with kindness and respect, you know what? They'll collaborate. But at the same time, they'll also be able to compete as hard as they can and still have fun doing it, win or lose. Now, this way that we treat each other within the Liger Academy is reflected in our core values. A lot of organizations have core values. They put them somewhere on the website. Nobody ever looks at them. We chose to do this differently too. We chose to live our core values. And just one of the ways that we do that is that every week, students and staff nominate one of the students for having embodied each core value. And then, on Friday at the assembly, everyone hears why each of these students was selected as being representative of that core value. The following week, their photos go up on the wall in the main area where everybody walks by it every day, each photo associated with each value. So those core values are stewardship, integrity, ingenuity, determination, appreciation, and optimism. And I don't think I need to explain why those are so important to success in today's world. Now, moving along. From a business perspective, from an entrepreneur's perspective, I felt like we needed to address the issue of risk-taking, specifically intelligent risk-taking. You see, risk gets a bad rap. Risk isn't a bad thing because risk has a relationship with reward. And if you're good at managing that relationship, it will help you succeed in life. However, we also had to acknowledge if these young people are taking risks, even intelligent risks, and they're competing all the time, they're going to fail. They're going to lose. They're going to be wrong. And let's face it, that's not a dynamic that is unique to the Liger Leadership Academy. If you're human, you are guaranteed to fail or be wrong in some way or another thousands of times in your life. So we said there must be no stigma for failure. Again, no stigma for failure. Because I believe personally that one of the keys to success is being good at failing. What that means is taking failure, making it work for you, turning it around, and learning from it. Not letting it set you back. Not letting it hurt you emotionally. And where you can, using that failure as a stepping stone to get you one step closer to your objective. Okay, now, the final piece of this culture puzzle for us, fun. It's gotta be fun. It has to be enjoyable and engaging so that these young people don't feel like learning is something they're forced to do, but rather that learning is something they want to do. So that's our culture. Now earlier, we asked, how is it possible for a group of 14-year-old Cambodian girls to go from the humblest of beginnings to global success in the space of just over 3 years? And here we have the answer. Because that culture I've just described was brought to life, and it was interwoven with a world-class, award-winning, proprietary curriculum. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to pass you over to Mr. Jeff Holte, our educational director, and he'll tell you more about that curriculum. But first, show of hands. Who here has ever heard the beautiful chorus of birds singing on a glorious spring morning? All right, you're with me, great. But Trevor, what does that have to do with the Liger Academy? Here's the answer. That chorus is beautiful in spite of the fact that each of those birds is singing their own song. As a matter of fact, I would say it's beautiful because each of those birds is singing their own song. They're not trying to be like some other type of bird. Each of those birds has their own voice. And our program is built upon the fact, no, it's a celebration of the fact that each and every young person also has their own voice, their own song, so to speak, their own talents, their own abilities, their own interests, often yet to be discovered. Now, our role as the Liger Academy is to help them find that voice and develop it so that eventually they can join the chorus that is our economy and society. Thank you.